Welcome to the Explainer. Go ahead, pull up a chair, and put on your investigator's hat. I want you to imagine the desk in front of you is just totally covered in manila folders, blurry photographs, and these hastily scribbled witness statements. Today, we're opening up a fresh stack of case files, pulling directly from first-hand accounts to analyze some truly terrifying encounters. I'm going to guide you through these reports, looking at the evidence, the timelines, and honestly, the sheer terror experienced by these witnesses. Now, as we dig into these folders, I want you to keep one central question in the back of your mind. What is truly scarier? Is it the dead? The supernatural, the entities that just completely defy the laws of physics and haunt our minds? Or is it the living, the flesh and blood human predators who invade our personal, safe spaces? I really want you to place yourself in the shoes of the victims in these case files as we review the data. Ask yourself, which situation would make your blood run cold? Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our docket for today. First, we'll look at supernatural threats. Then we'll move on to human predators. And finally, we'll wrap up with the final verdict. All right, Section 1, Case Files on Supernatural Threats, investigating phenomena that completely defy human logic. So our first report comes from a witness out on just a routine late-night dog walk. The environment here is absolutely crucial. It's a pitch-black cul-de-sac parking lot for a condo complex. The witness is alone, completely isolated with literally nothing but a flashlight and their dog. They've got one earbud in, just kind of zoning out, right? Until they hear something coming from the darkness ahead of them, over near the parked SUVs. The witness stops dead in their trucks. Then they hear it, spoken right out of the void. And it wasn't shouted either. It was this weird, muffled voice that sounded impossibly like a mix between an adult and a child. Just a deadpan, "Help," repeated 3 more times. And you know what's really terrifying? The tone never changed. There was zero actual desperation, just this flat, generic statement. Even the dog's ears perked up, and it started staring into the exact same empty space. Whatever was out there, it wasn't human, and it was just waiting in the dark. Now, what's really interesting about this next one is the raw, physically impossible facts of it. We'll call this the school bathroom anomaly. A high school student goes into a bathroom that is inexplicably empty. While she's in the stall, she clearly hears the main door open and shut twice, but no toilets ever flush. When she finally steps out, her friend is standing there staring at her in absolute horror. The friend had walked in seconds prior and literally saw someone else's shoes in the stall with the victim, standing so close they were touching the back of her heels. But when the victim walked out, she was completely alone. The entity had just vanished instantly. Okay, moving on to our final supernatural file. This one deals with a classic indicator of poltergeist activity, the manipulation of electronics. So 2 young brothers shared a large bedroom with multiple closets. They had this heavy toy race car, the kind that actually requires you to physically press the buttons down hard to trigger the lights and loud revving sounds. Well, in the middle of the night, while both boys were fast asleep in bed, this toy violently activated entirely on its own, just totally lighting up the dark room. It's one thing for electronics to just short circuit, right? But look at how this escalated. Sometime later, the younger brother was sleeping alone in the room. The toy car had actually been banished to a totally different room down the hall. But in the dead of night, he heard a sound. He flipped over to face the door and watched that exact same toy car physically roll into his bedroom with its lights blazing. His dad searched the entire upstairs, but there was absolutely no one there. The father was actually so unnerved by this, he smashed the toy and threw it in the neighbor's trash. Moving to Section 2, Case Files on Human Predators. These are the flesh and blood monsters hiding in plain sight. I want you to really look at this timeline. It shows the systematic, terrifying escalation of a stalker hunting a woman who had just moved into a new rental house. Night 1, a mysterious knock at the door. Morning 1, a super creepy note left on it. Night 2, another knock while she's just making dinner, and she suddenly realizes she has no peephole to even see who's on the other side. Morning 2 brings an escalation that just completely shatters any illusion of safety. Yeah, I like to watch you. That was the second note. The victim actually tried to leave a note of her own, threatening to call the cops and stating she was just renting. The predator's response the next morning? A brand new note using her actual first name, saying, "I'm not looking for Michelle, I'm looking for you. I like watching you." This brilliantly and terrifyingly illustrates the reality of a human threat. It's the malicious, calculating depravity of being hunted inside your own home. Let's move to the next file and see how this builds, because this one is a slow burn nightmare. A 10-year-old child's bedroom borders a dark forest. First week, the red nightlight inexplicably changes colors. The parents just blame a glitch. Week 2, it's found unplugged on the floor. The parents tell the kid, they're getting too old for a nightlight anyway. Week 3, the nightlight vanishes completely. Now the parents are accusing the kid of hiding it. But by week 4, the child starts waking up to rustling noises coming from inside their closet. The kid is practically begging their parents to believe them. The father, frustrated and angry at this point, drags the kid to the closet and just starts tearing it apart to prove it's empty. But as he violently rips a poster off the back wall, the screaming begins. Hidden right behind that poster was a massive hole. Shining a flashlight inside, the dad discovered a hand-dug dirt passageway leading directly from the child's closet out into the woods. A stranger had been crawling into that child's room every single night for over a month. It is a chilling reminder of the vile, predatory depravities some humans possess, and honestly, an absolute blessing that this horrific crime was stopped before it could escalate any further. All right, for our final case file, we need to quickly establish some scientific context. Sleep paralysis. It's a documented medical phenomenon where your mind wakes up but your body just doesn't. Victims often see terrifying hallucinations, demons, shadowy figures just standing over them while they are completely immobilized. Keep this definition in mind, because our next victim thought this was exactly what she was experiencing. So a woman sleeping in her apartment starts having these really intense nightmares. In the dream, a horned, terrifying creature, a classic sleep paralysis demon, approaches her in a dark room. It pins her down and literally takes a claw to her thigh. But here is where the science falls apart. She wakes up, rushes to the bathroom mirror, and finds a deep, bleeding, physical gash on her actual thigh. A hallucination absolutely cannot physically injure you. She immediately wakes up her roommate, and in an absolute panic, they start tearing the bed apart, looking for sharp objects, bugs, literally anything to explain the cut. Now the bedroom is sweltering, and the window AC unit is just blasting loud white noise. Suddenly, the roommate gets a really bad feeling. She holds a finger to her lips and reaches over and turns the AC unit off. The room is instantly plunged into this dead, heavy silence. In that sudden silence, the reality of the situation became sickeningly clear. They heard a faint sound, the undeniable noise of another person shifting their weight, and it was coming from directly beneath the bed. The demon was a human intruder. Someone had actually broken in, was living in their apartment, and had crawled under her bed. While she slept, that flesh and blood predator had reached up and slashed her leg. And that brings us to Section 3, the final verdict, where we'll be evaluating the threat level. So the crucial point here is understanding the completely different types of damage these threats inflict. The supernatural, it deals in psychological terror. A disembodied voice in the dark, or a toy moving on its own, defies physics, and it absolutely haunts the mind, making you question your own sanity. But human threats? That is pure physical danger. It's the malicious depravity of someone digging a literal tunnel into a child's bedroom or hiding under your bed with a blade. Humans invade our safest sanctuaries with the actual intent to cause real, tangible harm. As an investigator, looking at the pure trauma documented in these files, I gotta say, the living hold a much, much darker capacity for evil than any ghost. So I leave you with this final thought. When you go to sleep tonight, and you hear that inevitable creak in the floorboards, or that unexpected bump in the night, tell me, which threat are you secretly hoping is waiting for you in the dark? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Stay safe out there.